Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Trade Talks Live. How are you guys doing today? I hope that you had an amazing weekend. Try to say Wednesday. It's like, wait, no, that didn't come out right. Hope you had an amazing weekend. I know I did. I had fun. Got to relax a little bit. Got to work a lot. Got to do a lot of cool stuff. And actually drove out here and got my truck stuck. You know, you got to get muddy on the weekend when you're in Texas. If you don't, you're just not doing something right.
That's it. You got to keep an eye on the weather too, and kind of know what's going on. I had my kids bugging about getting the four wheelers out. We brought them out. The rain started. It's like, okay, sorry, kid, not this weekend.
So, welcome to the show. We talk about what's going on in the trades each and every day at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We do that so that's when the people on the East Coast are taking lunch at 11. So whenever you take lunch during the trades, man, this is a great thing to just plug in, listen to, enjoy while you're having lunch, and talk about the trades. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy it. If you've been here before, welcome back. Please jump in the comments. Tell us hello. Tell us where you're from. Love to have you part of the communication. And this video is sponsored by Leak Pro, which to me is the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. But the thing that makes it amazing is the training package we've put together. We teach you how to do water line leak detection, sewer line leak detection and isolation, and we teach you how to market it. If you want to learn more about it, go to Leak Pro at www.leak-pro.com. Or you can call 1-8888-LEAK-PRO and talk to Squirt. Let's jump in here. National news. Now, we found some information on this, and then when we started going a little deeper on it, we couldn't find it again. So this is something I've been talking about for a while, y'all. It says there's a push for national license reciprocity, and it's gaining traction. And the good thing is this is supposedly a bipartisan bill, what we found out originally.
Yep.
And now we can't find anything on it.
And now I can't find anything on it, but if it's a bill, great. If it's not there, it needs to be. This is something that we need to be working towards as a country. I know that they're working on different things, different licensing. I think I saw something on concealed carry to be nationwide, things like that.
Hey.
Guys, if they can carry a gun across state lines, why can't they do plumbing across state lines? Why can't they do electrical for a different
water
state?
don't always run downhill in some states.
Oh, you must be part of the interstellar space kit package of plumbing,
You know, hey, you got to know all about that stuff. But the cool thing is it says it will allow tradespeople to work across state lines without needing to reapply for licenses.
Yep.
And guys, this is something I've been saying for like 3 years now. We need a national MEP board. If you're going to make reciprocity, that's great. Let's do it for plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. Those are the three skilled trades. Here's where this is a problem. And I'm going to go ahead and call it out because I already see it. Some states that don't require a plumbing license are going to say, hey, I'm a state, I'm a plumber in ... We don't care about our people state. And that just blows my mind.
It is. It's hard to believe that there's still states that don't require some sort of licensing. And I know that some states are more rural, but guess what? Even well water, you're going to want it to be good drinking water for your family. So there are things that you're going to need to know about the plumbing system and about the filtration systems and things like that. Well, guys, just because you don't require it, well, guess what? That means not everybody is necessarily going to get that option because not everybody does know. Let's make it a standard nationwide to have clean drinking water in your home.
The Clean Water Act was passed many, many years ago. And it's funny because I was literally talking to a guy on a cruise ship, and I need to reach out to him. He is literally digging wells in let's say, Africa.
Okay.
He'll go over to where they don't have water. He'll buy the equipment, acquire the equipment. They dig the wells. They give people water. And I told him a great idea. I said, look, you see if we can buy that same equipment over here. We'll dig a well here just to see what it's like. Because he's digging these wells for about $3,500.
Okay.
Equipment and all.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't, and I asked him, I said, is that equipment available here? He says, yeah, I don't think it is. It's like, well, let's see if we can find something comparable. Because if we can, I mean, I'd pay $3,500, $7,000, $10,000 for the equipment that me and you could dig a well.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not a bad deal.
No.
And for that kind of money, he can bring water to parts of the world that don't have it. Now, I remember seeing an article in there's a group called Dig Test, I think. Dig Deep, Diggdeep. And they're like, there's 6 places in the continental United States that don't have water like it should. And people are living there. And they don't have water. And it's like, guys, look, this is America. We know how to get water. What do we have to do? So that blows my mind. But it's neat that these are the kind of things that we're looking at, because the national reciprocity here is going to make it where we can help each other out. And we talked about this. If there's ever a major problem, a natural disaster, anything like that, and plumbers from around the United States could say, hey, look, I got a week vacation. I'm going to take off here and I'm going to go to Louisiana and help them out. Yeah. I'm going to go to California and help them out. Guys, we got to get where we're helping out each other. And stuff like this makes that a little more possible. But I like that it says it includes funding for a national database of trades licenses to streamline the verification. Because there's a lot of things that we can do, but we've got to remember that whenever we initiate reciprocity, we've got to make sure that each state is testing to the same standards. And that's been part of Texas's problem, issuing reciprocity to other states, because we're like, look, our test is one of the hardest to take. Here's what we're doing. So think about it, look at it, and we'll play that game once we get there. But let's look at the bottom line, managing cash flow in seasonal trades. And that's not easy to do. If you're an HVAC company, you make your money in the summertime, period.
Yep. Yes. All majors.
I know big time HVAC salespeople that literally they take off from like August to March.
Yep.
They take off. They make all their money the rest of the year. And then for 6 months out of the year, they work on their house, they travel the country, but they made so much money during their 6 months, they're not worried about it. They made their money. It's not a bad gig.
Not at all. Not at all. And like I was on a call with a plumber this morning up in North Carolina. He's closed for the next month. Their season starts again in the spring and picks up big. They kind of shut down for a lot of the winter portions. And, you know, they've got to be prepared for that. These are some things that you've got to keep in mind when you are busy a select few months and you get this slow 6 to 9 month break. You've got to be prepared for that, for you, for your employees, for everybody.
You know, and the cool thing about that, and here in Texas, we don't necessarily get a slow season. not for plumbing anyway. Yep. There's always slab leaks. There's always foundation shifting. There's always a toilet that stops running. And I'm not sure where he is in North Carolina, how big the town is. Yeah. Don't know anything at all about it. But we can stay busy all year long plumbing. And the thing is if you understand these seasonal times, and you can go back and look at your data, your history, what did you do the last 3 years in January, February, March, April? January, February, and March, and the beginning of April normally slow down because of tax time. And everybody knows that. So be prepared for it. We talk about memberships all the time. Having memberships, that's a great time to take some of your entry-level plumbers or new people and say, hey, y'all are going to go out and do home inspections, and here's what all you're looking for, and make sure to point things like this out. And then when you come across something, we've got a plumber that we can send out there. You'll move on to the next one. It's not your job to make the repair. It's not your job to sell it. You're there to inspect and see what the problem is and move on.
That's it.
And things like that help a lot.
Huge. It keeps that apprentice busy, but then it also keeps one of your plumbers busy because they're going to find things in homes that people are going to want addressed instantly. So keeps everybody busy, keeps that money flowing. And that is super huge, because slow times, you've got to figure out how to keep yourself busy. Memberships are amazing.
You know, and another thing to look at too, and man, I was bad about this, collecting your invoices. And when you're slow, that's a great time to go through and say, hey, who owes us money? Tony, you worked on that job. Will you go out there and knock on the door and remind Miss Johnson, say, Miss Johnson, I'm going to let you know, look, your invoice still isn't paid. And if you're a plumber that works on commission and you've already been paid, you want to make sure it gets paid, because the last thing you want is the owner to come in and say, hey, look, we had to write this off. We didn't get paid, so we've got to take that money back from you. And it can be tough. And I don't know if all companies do that. I have heard of it, but that's one that you wouldn't want. You can't expect to be paid for something if the company didn't get paid for it. So it's kind of teamwork, y'all. We got to work together on this. But what do you think is the most effective way to stabilize cash flow in the seasonal trades?
Probably to diversify your services to provide that steady source of income. Like we were talking memberships, that payment comes in monthly, every month. Busy months and slow months, that same payment comes through. And then, something that you taught me when I was young, work the overtime when it's offered. Don't blow the overtime money when you're getting it.
What? Wait, what?
Well,
I made an extra $1,000 this week, so I'm going to spend an extra $1,100.
Well, I could remember it from a lot of the bosses on the job. Well, I know you can afford it. You're working all this overtime. And it's like, whoa, your mentality's broken, bud. Because, yeah, I can afford it. Do I want to afford that right now? No, I don't, because you don't know the rest of my world.
And I got to tell you, and there's going to be good things coming out of the White House. But one thing he's talking about is you're not being taxed on overtime. Oh my gosh.
Huge.
I think that is just that. And service workers aren't going to be taxed on tips. I love that. They work their tail off. I'm just going to throw that out there. So to me, those are two things that I think are just going to be major for people. But man, anything that you can do to help manage your cash flow and look at things, look at the seasonal, work the overtime when you can. And when it's not there, when things are slowing, you got to take off a day. You're like, it's no big deal. I got money in the bank. Let's jump into safety, because this is one of my biggest topics, because I hate getting shocked. I don't like it. That's why I'm not an electrician. If Grant's brothers and dad would have been an electrician, it'd have probably been like, no, I'm not interested in that. But electrical shocks remain one of the top hazards for tradespeople. Even though we study lockout, tagout, even though we know all about it. And I'm going to tell you a story, because there was a presentation done whenever, and I don't remember if I was at Beard or Brant, but this lady came in and she's talking and she's telling the story about why this is important. And she talks about this guy, an electrician, who was on a big job, and they called him off to run by this other job that he had done because there was a light pole not working. So he gets there, opens it up, pulls the wires out, checks them, everything's fine. And he keeps messing with it. He's trying to figure out what the problem is. Now, he didn't do a lockout tagout, but he checked it first. He's like, hey, I'm good. They found him later that night, dead, laying at the bottom of the pole. And what had happened is the night light switch, it got dark. So the switch kicked on and powered it up. And he had his hands on the pole and never even thought about it. Now, I told you the other day about me having a similar problem. I installed a switch, a wall outlet, because I wanted a bidet toilet seat in my back bathroom, and I got tired of running a cord, around the corner.
Yep.
So I got online and figured, wait, I can take a wall switch, pull a line off of it, go down, run it where I want, and install an electrical outlet. Did it. It looks great. It works perfect. But the day I installed it, every time I'd turn that switch off, the light would come on in the toilet. And I'm like, man, I did something backwards. It's wired backwards, or something's wrong here. And I thought, but the power shouldn't even go through the switch. Now, I could have done a lot of crazy stuff, but I didn't. I kept messing with it though. And then I realized the seat had a night light in it. So when I turned off the switch, it got dark in there and that light lit up. And when I turned on the light, well, it was light, so the light went off. And I mean, I can see how it would be easy to make that mistake. Well, gee, I turned it off. There's no power here. I can go ahead and touch these wires. And zap.
I've heard the same thing with timers.
Yeah. The lady ends up telling you why this is important to her. That was her husband. And she shows a picture of their kids. And you've got to tell these kids, look, daddy made a mistake at work and he died. And, it's a tough story, but it's something worth learning about. So let's talk about key safety practices for electrical.
Always de-energize equipment. I was a pipe fitter, so I dealt with a lot of equipment on jobs for different things, different hookups. De-energize it. Kill any power or energy feeding into that device, that piece of equipment. That's what's going to keep you safe. Lock it out so that nobody can accidentally turn it on without you knowing. They are going to have to find you and get you to remove your lock, because that's how red locks work.
Yeah. There's only one key. Well, there's two. Yours and the one locked up in the office that the superintendent can get to in case you fall down, break your neck or something, and they got to turn it back.
That's it. Whenever you're dealing with electricity, you want to use insulated tools also. Like, that's huge.
And we do that as plumbers. Because you never know when you're going to, the screwdriver you've got in your pocket, you may need to do something.
Yes. And there's times that somewhere a wire's touching the plumbing. I've seen live plumbing systems that have electricity running through them because of a faulty wire somewhere in the building. And these are things that you need to keep a mind on, that it is a possibility.
We had a storm here a while back, and we had a limb fall down on an electrical line.
Yep.
And we're out here walking, and we see smoke coming from the back. Randy's walking around looking at all the problems. He looks up, and I've got video of it, but there's literally where this limb is laying on the wire, it comes over to the tree, and you can actually see sparks in this branch. Electrical sparks. And I don't just mean like a spark every now. You could see the electricity flowing through it. I kept trying to get Randy to go pee on the tree. I really did. And I think I had him talked into it there for just a second. But you've got to be careful about stuff like that. And even us, we're looking around. It's like, okay, how wet is the ground? I'm wearing rubber-based boots, so I know I'm okay here. I got a Vibram sole. But you got to think about stuff like that. And you don't want to be sitting there and talking, just accidentally lean up against a tree that's got electricity running through it. Knowing stuff like that is huge. But make sure that all your employees are trained on OSHA and the lockout tagout too. We've both been through it. So, we weren't really trying to get him pee on the tree, but but the thing is, you've got to be able to look at stuff like that and say, how do we
de-energize it, check it, and then guess what, guys? Double check it
check
one more
it again.
time, okay?
And make sure you got that key and that lock in place and everything's good.
That's it.
So new construction, and this is a big one. 3D printed homes. Now, we've talked about Connex homes before. We've talked about the little homes. We've talked about the fold-out homes. I hadn't heard of 3D printed homes yet.
Hey, I actually saw a video about this a couple months back, I think, and I was just kind of like in awe at first, and I was kind of like, really? Is this what they're trying? But the more you really think about it, you can get the filament for just about any material you want.
That blows my mind.
They can print metal. They can print you a copper fitting if you want it. Sure. Oh, supply house is out, man. Run to the back and print one real quick. Take it out to this guy. Boom. They can print homes. Massive 3D printer that just comes around laying this filament over and over, and it starts stacking out these walls, and it's mind blowing.
So what's it cost to do that?
I haven't researched the cost or anything, but the main thing is you're going to bring a couple people out to set this up and somebody to sit there and watch. How many guys would you have on the job building that home?
No, and labor is one of the biggest factors you deal with.
That's it. So now these, I'm sure 3D printed homes take a little longer because 3D printing is slower, but that's starting to evolve, guys. And I'm sure before long, just like we could instantly print and dry ink, that's going to be the future for this too. It'll be coming.
So this is revolutionizing the construction industry. It's going to make building homes faster. It's also going to make them a lot more affordable because look, this is the beginning phases right now. It's new. It's expensive. I get that. Fax machines when they first came out, microwaves when they first came out. Just modern technology, you can't afford it right now. You know, within a few years, everybody was buying them for their homes. So it's great, but reduced construction timelines with some homes printed in under 48 hours. That's 2 days, y'all.
Yeah.
A printer running around the clock, boom, the home's done. Let's get out of here.
That's it.
That's freaking nuts.
Then you release the skilled trades to come in and power it up and plumb it and do their parts.
Man, lower material waste because everything goes in through the printer. So there's not like, oh, we're going to print some scrap to throw over here in the corner.
Yeah.
And then potential to address housing shortages in underserved areas. Now, I've seen people that can literally walk in with a piece of equipment that could paint an entire wall for you like a billboard.
Okay. Yep.
You want it to look like a billboard? You want it to look like a marble wall? I mean, what do you want? We've got a machine. We'll set it up and it'll paint it and do everything. And stuff like that's cool. But when you look at this, where you can bring in this printer, move it from slab to slab to slab to slab, and it prints the home for you. This is going to be neat to see how this turns out. So how can tradespeople prepare for a future with stuff like this?
Well, you're going to want to start studying codes, things like that, because in the near future, you're going to print the home with plumbing, with electrical, with all these things already in it. Working the designs, working things like this, and then you're going to have to come through and test everything after the fact. So you're going to want some local people to come out and actually test and inspect these things, even though it's built per the prints and the drawings.
Still got to be checked.
It got printed, sir. Somebody's going to have to go through and actually check and test all the filaments and things like that. So, you know, it's going to be great.
So we're going to talk about mindset growth, and I want to ask you a question. Do you think you're out of your normal comfort zone?
100,000%.
Okay. Now, even me though, and
Yeah.
you know, you say all the time, Dad, look, you found your niche. You were built for this. But when I first started, I'm like, I got to look at the camera. Wait, I talk to the camera like it's a person. Blew my mind. And literally it's great because in the beginning, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, in the beginning, everybody I know is coming up to me like, dude, what are you doing? You know, I see you on Facebook. I see you on YouTube. You ain't no movie star. You ain't no rock star, nothing. What are you doing? Like, man, I'm just trying to teach people about plumbing. And then, you know, I took a group of my friends from high school. We went out to dinner a couple of weeks ago. Me, your Uncle Grant,
Yeah.
Todd Circle, Stephen Collins, Daryl Reese, John Thomas, my little brother, because he knew all them. And we're sitting there, and one of the guys, Stephen, says, dude, I love watching your videos. He said, I watch your videos every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that is so cool. But in the beginning, people they ask you what you're doing. Then after they see you growing and doing well, they're like, but wait, how do you do that? And they want to know, can you teach me how to do this? And I've told some of them, look, yeah, if you're willing to come over to my office, come sit in my studios, see what we do, hang out with us for a little while. And they're like, yeah, I can't do that. Okay, then you're not going to learn it. So let's talk about mindset growth and what getting out of your comfort zone really can do for you.
Man, I was a hermit. Keep me inside, keep me off of social media. Social media was really cool back when MySpace came out. That was the coolest thing because I was out of high school.
MySpace came out before you were born, so I mean, don't even.
I was out of high school, and it's like, oh my gosh, look, I found all my old friends that I used to talk
that's
to.
not true.
But then that died real quick, and it was just like, no, I don't want to be on socials. Now it doesn't bother me one bit. I understand. I'm starting to understand what social media is about, and the community being involved in more than just your space. It's huge, and like that's why this channel I'm all about, because it's not just my trade. It's not just your trade. This is
No, we're talking about
every one of our
Yeah.
trades. Whatever you do, this is the place. And that's what I enjoy. So step out of your comfort zone, take on some new challenges, and push your boundaries, because you're going to find out you're a bigger you than you really thought you ever were. And that's just facts.
And one of the things you talk about is pursuing certifications outside of your primary trade. I'm a certified HVAC technician. Randy's really a pipe fitter, but he's also a certified welder, or was. Had your certs. You got to keep those up. That's all there is to it. My license I keep up, the plumbing and the HVAC. So I'm still certified, but still a licensed master plumber in Texas, and I'm still a certified HVAC technician in Texas, even though I don't do much out in the field work anymore. But you can also volunteer for leadership roles on things that might be out of your norm. So I got into quality, QA, QC, because I had to look at plumbing, electrical, HVAC. I had to learn a lot of different things. So stuff like that is really neat. But you can also network with professionals in other trades and learn things from them. You share information with them. They share information from you. Guys, things like that really does work, and it can help you grow. Brian Ziske says, with all the illegal immigrants being deported, we're going to need Americans to replace them. That is going to be true, probably so. Tony Patterson says, I like how you're talking about an interesting topic of 3D printed homes. You both are diving into the trades details in regard to 3D printed homes. I think we are always trying to dive into the trades. And interesting how HVAC, plumbing, electricity are setting up and making a home ready to live in. And those are the three primary trades, but Tony, it's all the trades, the roofers, the sheetrock guys. Everybody's got to look at it and say, look, how are we involved in this? How do we help with this? And that's going to be more work on the inspectors too. So stuff like that, it's going to be neat to see how it evolves, how it grows, how it improves, and how it gets better. But speaking of getting better, let's talk about Leak Pro.
Yeah, we definitely want to thank Leak Pro for sponsoring today's episode of the Trade Talks. We build the best leak detection system for professional plumbers. It is simple to use, user-friendly, not a bunch of extra wires. It's the device, one wire to your headphones, and one volume knob.
Love that.
It's the only adjustment in the whole thing. And there's an on-off activation so that you're not rattling your brain.
Yeah, and the only adjustment is turning the volume up. That's it. You got a trigger to make the sound happen and turn the volume up. That's it.
That's it. We also do an in-person training here just outside of Dallas, Texas. Hit me up at www.leak-pro.com to book me for a call. Or if you want, just give me a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. We can talk about training or the equipment and teach you how you can add this to your business and services.
And don't do it right now. He's standing right here, so he's not going to answer the phone right this minute. But write that number down, 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. I'm telling you, the training system is the difference. Getting trained to use a piece of equipment the right way and getting comfortable using it. But then again, getting that confidence of, look, I just found 11 leaks under a slab, facing up, down, sideways, buried at different depths. I found 11 leaks and I know where they're at. And got the little poker chips too to help mark them. So look, we have fun at what we do. Training's great. Going out to dinner with us is fun. Come enjoy it. All trades. Building a culture of safety on a job site. And we talk about safety a lot, guys. If you look at us, we've both got all our fingers, all our toes, our own eyes. We both probably have bad backs and knees and things like that, but that's just part of being a tradesman for as many years as I did. Luckily, Squirt got out of it a little sooner than me and got into the office and did good things. But let's talk about building a culture of safety on the job.
Yeah, this is huge. Back early 2000s, late 90s, back whenever I was first getting in, safety was just truly starting to become a thing. I can remember some guys that still weren't really listening to a lot of the safety, but then I was new coming in and started to hear all the reasons as to why safety was so important. You know, like back when hard hats came out, it wasn't just, oh, here, you have to do this, period. That's it. No, they came across saying, hey, this is here to help keep you safe. Okay. To make sure that you go home at the end of the day. Deaths are way too high for construction installations. Let's bring that down. And that's what we've slowly, steadily worked at over the decades. And it's getting tremendously better. But you have to create this culture at your company also, doing every little safety rule and step, not just because it's a rule and it's there, so that I can do my job safely and I can leave just like I showed up every day. And that's huge.
And holding regular toolbox talks helps us. Okay, every single morning, and I ran some of the biggest jobs in Dallas, and literally, I used to love the morning toolbox talk. It's only about 5 minutes. It may go into 10, 15 if people are asking a ton of questions. And normally that doesn't even bother me because it's like, hey, look, I get it. We're engaged. We're all part of it. But doing these every day makes people start off thinking safety. And I still remember when we were done, I'd tell everybody, look, have fun out there today, but always be safe. Think about what you're doing. And it was a big deal. And, what we talk about it, whatever you do out there today, do it safe, because it makes a difference whether mom or dad comes home every day. And I talk about it all the time, and I will never forget it. A poster in a meeting, and I used to get in that meeting early so I could sit in a particular spot where that poster was right in front of me, because it had a little kid that looked like Randy on it. And the poster said, how do you tell a 5-year-old that he's never coming home again? And I knew right then, that's not a conversation I ever want to have with anybody on my crews. So learning to do things like that is great, but you also want to empower the team members to report hazards and problems. I used to tell my apprentices, if you see something not right, you can say stop.
Yep.
And if people don't stop, you call me, because we're going to stop them. And that's a big deal, but it also takes you leading by example. I can't walk around a job site not wearing my safety glasses and then get on Squirt for not having his on. It just doesn't work. And it's things that we all have to do. But if you make safety a shared responsibility, it becomes everybody's problems. I used to love the jobs I walked on that says, we have not had an accident since, or
Yes.
in 135 days. And then you see when that accident, you come in and you see the 0, and it's like,
Everybody
deal.
on the job feels that.
Yes.
Like, I can remember one that happened, and you came in and it was like, "What? Who got hurt yesterday? What was it?
How'd
Our
it
crew? Was
happen?
it
How'd it
somebody?
happen?
Who
You bet.
was it? Where was it? What was going on? I want to be aware because it happened on this site. What actually was it?" And they are not scared to let you know for sure, no matter if it was just a small cut or something serious.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember working out at Great Wolf Lodge. OSHA was coming out, and they knew it.
Yep.
And OSHA's going through the hotel, and one of the hotel superintendents hollers down into the indoor pool area and says, hey, y'all need to shut everything down and get your guys off the job.
Yep.
And I looked at him, I said, why? He said, OSHA's coming out. I said, okay. He said, so get everybody off the job. I said, we're not leaving. And luckily, my contract was not with him. My contract was with the pool builder. The pool builder already told me, Roger, we ain't leaving. He said, you can leave if you want to, but you don't have to. I'm not leaving because they are. He said, are you doing everything right? I said, every freaking day. OSHA came out. We did not get slapped on the hand.
Nope.
I mean, nothing.
Nothing.
We did things right, but we knew that. We made it our everyday goal. So it blows me that companies literally think that way. Oh my gosh, OSHA's here to get everybody off the job. I don't like that. So speaking of OSHA and things like that, let's talk about laws and licenses.
Man, navigating local building code updates. This is huge. It's something that we always talk about. Stay plugged in.
Every day.
Talk to your inspectors. Whenever they come out and they're walking a job with you and you're getting something inspected, ask them if there's anything new coming. They're typically in front and well aware of what's about to come down the pipeline, especially if something really is about to change. They're not completely in the dark about it. Stay plugged in. Getting some newsletters, things like that for your authority having jurisdiction in your local areas. We talk to people nationwide. You are going to have to figure out where you're located and who you need to listen to for these things to keep yourself current on any of the changes.
And investing code training for your team. Make sure they all understand it. If me as the company owner If I get online and I study the new addendums for the city of Dallas, and we're doing a job in Dallas and Randy's doing it, and I don't tell him about the addendums, man, it's my fault. You've got to keep your team trained and up to date so they know what's going on. And that is big. But then you can also work with certain people that can help work on permits and things like that to get things done faster. Me, I love doing it myself. That way I knew it was done. And I knew that because I was at another company and they were hiring this guy as the plumbing manager. And they said, hey, I want you to interview him. Tell me what you think. If you don't like him, we're not going to hire him. So, okay. So I interview him. Well, first thing I do is I go to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, look for his license. He doesn't have one. Never had one. And I literally, when we sat down to talk, I said, so you got a plumbing license? He says, yeah. I said, yeah. You got a master? He said, yeah. I said, well, number one, you're lying to me. And I don't like that. And he's like, well, I'm not lying to you. I said, so you've got a license? He says, well, I paid my assistant to fill out all the paperwork and get everything done. I said, and you never even bothered to check. And he says, well, no. He knew he didn't have a license. So I go to the owners of the company and I say, yeah, I wouldn't hire him. Well, they did anyway. And sure enough, he was a scam. But when I went to him, I said, look, it's not just that he doesn't have one, it's that he lies about it. And he's still out doing work. And he's telling me I'm out running the calls myself. So you're not even a licensed plumber. And he had an apprentice card at one point. And I'm like, this guy is a scam. And that's exactly what he did. He did some of the shoddiest work. And it's funny because I'm the RMP at the company at the time. And he's telling everybody he's going to be the RMP. But when he comes in as manager, like, look, y'all don't listen to Roger anymore. You don't talk to Roger. If you have any problems, you don't call Roger, you call me. Long way to go about
that don't last long.
Yeah. When you're that afraid, just don't do what you do. Okay, so what are the biggest mistakes trade people make when it comes to building?
Assuming that codes have not changed and failing to double check project requirements. You know, I was an estimator, so I had to read.
Do you just double check?
No, you double and triple check sometimes. But you used to have to read specifications on jobs. Like, just because it's not the area, that job may require some extra things. You have to know everything that your job certificates, anything are requiring of you to do. It could be just the inspector of that city that he's got a pet peeve on this. And well, you're going to have to take extra steps to make them feel comfortable and give you a green tag. Sometimes that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah. I love you talk about that because one thing I used to do whenever I started a job, as soon as we went down and pulled the permit, I would ask who the inspector is. And I'd ask the inspector, can you come out and meet me at the job? I'd love to look through the prints with you. I'm not calling for an inspection. I would love to just talk to you. And one of the first things is, look, what's the biggest stickler you look for?
Yeah.
And he's like, man, trap primers. That's my biggest thing. People don't do trap primers. It makes the bathroom stinks and yada, yada, yada. Cool. You know what? Our trap primers will be amazing. So good ways to do it. But know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, and make things happen. Now we're going to talk about business training because you can use data to drive your decisions. And we talked about this earlier about your seasons, knowing when you're going to be busy, knowing when you're going to be slow. If you can look at your historical data for the last 3 years and create a graph, when are we busy? When are we slow? Is it that way every year? And if it's that way every year, guess what? There's a trend there. And when you learn to look at that, you can either say, hey guys, look, you know what? I know you have a week vacation. The first 2 people that take their vacation during the month of February, they get an extra day.
Yep.
Ooh, you're going to give me an extra day if I take my vacation in? Yeah, I know February is not the best time of year to take vacation, unless you're going on a cruise or something. And you can even do other things where, you know, people used to say like a holiday. Every company I've worked at, you could not take off the day before or after a holiday and get paid for the holiday. If you did that, you had to take vacation for the holiday too. And I know the companies you worked at, it's the same at both of them, but that's the way it should be. That way everybody's not, I'm going to take 2 days before and 2 days after. Now I got the holiday too. And it's like, yeah, but other people want, you know, to take vacation and stuff. work deals out with people. Hey, if you'll take it during this month, if you want to take Valentine's Day off, we'll make it a holiday if you'll take a day before and after.
But most of my guys knew Henry works all year. I'll just take off at the end, whatever it is, however many days, just throw that at the end of the year. That's what I want to do, boss. Because it's the slowest time in the office for us also. So it was like, look, I know nothing's going to be going on. I need to be here when everything's going on. So let me just be gone then. Everybody on my team always loved that. They're like, no, that's cool. Yeah, we'll leave the end of the year for you for sure. Only one of us will take off at that time too, and kind of did some overlap. Works out great.
I loved it because I would always take off from Christmas to New Year's and just say, look, here's mine. If I had to take an extra day vacation because of Christmas Day or New Year's Day, it's like, I don't even care. But I had done a good enough job. Normally, nobody ever said a word about it. It's like, you know what, you're fine. Don't worry about it. And I'm kind of like you too. If I had extra vacation days, I could take the day before Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Or even the day after New Year's Day.
And all this stuff it's all data that we're feeding into a system so that everybody knows what's going on. Use all the data that you can get from your company. Like I learned a new data tool that Google makes the other day where I can do some heat maps and things based
where your
on
calls are coming from.
Sales, where your calls are coming in, which neighborhoods do you get the most calls from? Guess what? You may want to run some flyers out to that neighborhood for the rest of it because you don't have all the customers in it.
Yep.
Because you know there's issues.
TikTok, Instagram. Hope y'all are doing good. If you have any questions or comment, love for y'all to jump over to YouTube. Go to the Trade Talks 2.0. Click on the live and jump in. Love to hear what you got to say. Another big thing that you talk about is monitor your marketing campaign. What works? What generates the most leads? And is this something that you can do at those slow times of year? And I don't mean just do it during the slow time. Do it right before the slow time. Start getting that top of mind information out there. You've got your top of funnel awareness, your middle funnel value, your bottom of the funnel your sales. Here's what we're doing today. They've heard the awareness. They understand the value of it. Now it's time to offer them something. Give them a pitch. And if you'll start this, if you start looking and say, look, and I'm just picking on February, I guess. Every February is slow. It's like, okay, how do we do this? What can we do? And look at 3 weeks before February. So second week of the year, you start talking about things you're going to be doing in February. Third week of January, you start talking about the value of doing this in February. Last week of January, hey, we're running an offer only good during February that this is what you get. And then people are like, man, you know what? There's value to this. We should do it. And it's a good thing to look at. But start looking at that data and then use customer feedback. This is great because it'll help you refine your services. The people that are calling you in February and doing things different is like, why did y'all call in February for this? You know what? Wife's been wanting a whole house water filtration system. We didn't want to do it during the holidays of November and December and all that. So I told her during Christmas I'd get it. Okay. So now maybe next November to December, you're like, we're going to start marketing. Surprise your wife with the best water she's ever had and run a campaign for it. See what happens. Even if you just sell 2 or 3 of them and say, hey, you don't have to have it installed right here during the holidays. We'll plan it for February. Now you're looking ahead.
Another way you could do it is take some of your best reviews. Figure out which plumber you had running those calls. Maybe that's who needs to train that new apprentice that just came in so that they can learn from the best person that's getting you reviews at your business. Just think about data from every aspect that you can, because it really can be approached from a lot of different aspects to help you in multiple angles.
And the cool thing about all that is any data you can look at is going to help you. It's going to help you get information. Now they become educated decisions, not guesses. So when it comes to educated decisions, let's talk about vehicles and how to maintain them. Because maintaining your work trucks is such a big deal to make them last longer.
It's huge. And, I've been the superintendent that was working overtime all the time, but guess what? I had to take a lunch break and go get my oil changed on the vehicle. You have to take care of it, even if you have to force time in for it.
And the Hooters, the oil change place just happened to be next to Hooters.
Well, I may have drove across town for that one, but it doesn't matter. Make
is what
sure
it
to
is.
maintain the vehicle.
Absolutely. If you've got to go every week, you got to go every week. But scheduling your oil changes and tire rotations are huge. Creating a company checklist, meaning the employees every week. And I've been at companies that had to be done every week. I've been at some that had to be done every month. You had to inspect your truck. Is the inspection sticker due? Are the tires good? Have they been rotated? What's the mileage on the vehicle? How long's it been since the oil change or the tire rotation or whatever? And you had to document all that. And it's your truck. And you're taking that truck home. So you know what? Document it. That's all we're asking you to do. And it's not like we're telling you to do that on the weekend. When you come in Monday morning, fill out your form, turn it in. Before you leave Friday afternoon, fill out your form, turn it in Monday morning. It was easy to do. But you schedule that and you keep maintenance logs to help you track any repairs, any service work, anything done to it. And then just to inspect them for a weekly wear and tear. I need to take my truck to the cleaners right now to wash it. Right now, I really
After
need
we
to.
get it out.
Yeah, right now it's really okay. So I got it stuck in the mud the other day. But neglecting preventive maintenance, it's going to hurt your business, and it leads to very, very costly repairs. Little things like oil change. We talked about me buying the older vehicles from Grant.
Yep.
Man, he had logs right here. Here's when the oil was changed since the vehicle's been bought. You knew how many miles had gone in between oil changes, what type oil they were using, when did they change the filters. There was just so many things there. It's like, okay, stuff like this is big, and it keeps adding up.
And don't just limit this to your vehicles. Add your equipment to the same list. Okay. If y'all use backhoes, or depending on what trade you do, there's some equipment that you use that's not on your everyday carry truck. Maybe it's something that's in the shop. Maybe it's big sewer machines, something like that different people use. Check that equipment out. You're not sure who used it last. If everybody's trained proper, it should be great. But guess what? Should is the key word there.
Not always.
Double check. Make sure. Run it through that quick inspection to verify everything.
I want to give a shout out here because I got Randall Lubin in here watching from St. Lucia. Now, 2 weeks ago, Randy and I were in the Dominican Republic. And then last week, I went back to the Dominican Republic, went to Puerto Rico, went to St. Martin, and went to St. Thomas. So you're right down in that area. And I'm just like, man. So what's the best advice for an aspiring HVAC technician? And I love this because, look, what we talk about in here every day is going to differentiate you. Learn to be different in your marketing, in your branding, in the words you use, the name of your company. We've all studied, David Breyer, and I opened up his new book earlier. He's got a book called Brand Integration.
Okay.
And the thing is you've got to know what you're going to integrate into your brand intervention is what his book is. Sorry. And his next one is be the Goliath and be the David and Goliath's world or something like that. It's rich brand, poor brand, and learning how to do things right. But what I would do is look at what makes you different and how can you market that and talk about it. And always do the most amazing job and take care of your customers like nobody else. You'll do good. Man, we're going to talk about a friend of mine today. So we're talking social media, and today's Monday. So we're talking electricians. That's almost hard to say.
Well, we were talking about getting electrocuted earlier.
I know,
So, like, just because we don't like it, I've definitely had enough shocks in my trade.
It all ties together.
Electrician I want to spotlight a video. Top 5 multimeters every electrician should own. Now, me, I've got one.
I've got a couple. I've probably got 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got one. It does multiple things because I needed to check a couple different types of currents or things. I don't know a lot about electrical. Pipe fitter, welder, positive, negative, feed it this way. It's regular polarity. Feed it this way. It's reverse polarity. Yep. That's about what I know. But it's huge. Going through and deep diving into all the different parts and components and why you need them for different things like this and why you need 5 in your tool bag.
Maybe you don't need 5. I like mine. I've got a multi-tour. I've got one of the field pieces that does so many different things. And man, it's just, I think that's probably, and I bought this whenever I became an HVAC technician. I bought it for school. That way I had it, and I wanted the best piece. And luckily I was a plumber at the time, superintendent in union, running big work. So, I mean, I was making money. So to buy good equipment wasn't hard to do. And it's a great tool to have. And it's something I've still got and can use. But what I like about the way Dustin dives into things, I remember going down meeting Dustin, and he was in Austin. Now he's in Boston, but he was in Austin, and I go by him dinner one night for something, and I messaged him and said, "Hey man, can I come by and see what you do?" He said, "Absolutely." And took me into his studio, into his shop, and he's got 2 big, probably 36, 48-inch TV monitors, and that's what he's editing on. That's what he's working. He's editing himself. And I'm asking him, well, how do you get keywords? He's like, well, what do you mean keywords? Well, how do you do this? How do you do this? And there were a lot of tools he wasn't using. Man, look, Dustin Stelzer's phenomenal. Great guy. But I love what he's doing, and I love the value he brings to the community. And you look at things like that, and it's like, look, how can I help him? And now we're friends. I mean, he's come down. He's been on my show. We've talked. We've done videos together. He's just a good guy. So I love talking about people like him because he does tool reviews. 5 multimeters, great. If one of them sucked, guess what he'd tell you? This one sucks. That's Dustin. He's going to be honest about it. But tool reviews, technical advice. His shops I used to love because, I mean, electrical's kind of easy. You just pull wires and make stuff happen. It's not quite that easy to do with plumbing. You've got to have a sewer line. You've got to have a water line. You've got to have different things out there. But doing different things and giving you technical advice is amazing. It is really, really valuable. But then it's also relatable content. And this helps electricians improve their skills. It's the same thing that we do for plumbing. We help them improve their skills. We help them grow their businesses. We tell them about new tools, materials, equipment, technology, software, anything like that we think, hey, this is going to be good for people. We want to do it. And Lori, one of my branding people, let's talk about a great business strategist right here. Being different will make you memorable. You want people to remember you. Don't be afraid to stand out and do what nobody else is doing. And Randall, she's talking to you there. That way you know it. And look, she gets paid a lot of money to give people advice like this, but it's just one thing to look at. Be different. There's 23 different differentiators that you can use pre-sale, during sale, and post-sale. So now you've got 69 different ways to differentiate yourself. And to me, things like that are what's going to make all the difference. We got questions here. And I want to go straight down to the big one to me. What's the easiest way to prevent electrical shock on a job? Because as plumbers, sometimes let's say you're a plumber and you're doing a repair under a deck, under a house, under a slab, and you're reaching in up underneath there. You don't know what's there. And a swimming pool's where I first ran into this, reaching under a deck, there were electrical lines under there. Didn't get shocked. As soon as I saw the electrical lines, I'm like, I'm done. I call somebody else. But I mean, electrical shock, and we're going to talk about electrical, but I want y'all to remember when you're using lockout, tagout, it's not just electricity, it's power. It can be gas, it can be air, it can be water. If you're working on a water line and you're cutting in a line and there's a valve somewhere, it needs a lockout, tagout on it. I don't care if it's inside. I don't care if it's around the corner. I don't care if it's in another room. And it's the same lockout, tagout system we use for electricity.
It has energy.
There's one key, and that key's in my pocket. And it ain't even in my apprentice's pocket, because if a superintendent comes up and says, hey, go open that valve, he's just going to say, okay. So learning stuff like this is big. But Randy, What's the easiest way to prevent electrical shock on a job?
Turn the power off. I'm gonna tell y'all, when I'm at home and I'm doing anything, I just kill the power to the whole house. It's funny because he's always like, "I'll just kill the circuit."
And I
I'm like,
don't.
"Yeah, there's one. It's the whole house off, done. There is no power. I am certain of this." That's how I'm comfortable working on my electricity. I understand. Check the circuits on jobs. Make sure you're on the right circuit and you're shutting the right circuit off. Okay, because large projects, there's hundreds of circuits, maybe thousands on sometimes, because I've seen so many circuits wired before the building's even touched. So make sure that you're locking out the right circuit, the right energy, whether that's gas, that's water, that's power, that's all of them. Okay. When you're working on something, you want to make sure everything is off to it, because let's say some air's coming to it and it activates some pneumatic part, but you're reaching in there to tie your wires in. You don't want anything activating on these things. So make sure that you have everything actually dead to it.
And the cool thing is, a lot of times there's going to be multiple locks on one switch. And they make a thing that clamps on. And when it clamps on, there's like anywhere from 6 to 12 lock holes now, that every lock has to be removed in order to open this back up. And guys, when you see people on job sites that get hurt, that die, that do things like this, safety takes on a whole different mindset. I cannot begin to tell you how important lockout tagout is. And I know we're talking about electricity. It's Monday, it's electrical day. But when you're talking power, and that's what electricity is, it's power, it's energy. And locking it out can save people's lives. And having a good lockout tagout system in place, and HAZCOM, your hazardous communications, teaching this to your employees and making sure that they don't just listen, they learn, they implement, that they do things right. It makes a difference whether people go home at night or not. And the industry that we're in, it's something that we have to look at each and every day. So I think that, look, I love that Squirt turns everything off. Me, I don't. I don't. I'm being honest. Hate electricity, don't ever want to be shocked. If I'm hanging a ceiling fan, chances are I don't even turn off the breaker. I'm going to take very insulated pliers. I'm going to pull my line out. I'm going to put a wire nut on it. And look, I'm extremely careful. I hate being shocked. But that's a shortcut I take that I probably shouldn't.
Yep.
So think safety each and every day. Squirt, tell me about Leak Pro.
Man, so I'm Henry Wakefield. I build the best leak detection system on the market for leak detection for professional plumbers.
Okay, how does it feel to be able to say that and know it?
Amazing, guys. I've spent a lot of time building things, building buildings. Now I build equipment to put the right tool in your hands to be able to locate leaks. I enjoy that. One of the things that I learned from doing my trade for 20 years is, what are the two things I love? I love building things, and I love to teach people how to do new things. That's what I get to do every day with Leak Pro. And we just want to thank Leak Pro for sponsoring this video, because it lets us talk to you every day about the great things that we're doing and how to better yourself in your trade.
And the part that I want to throw in is the training. And when I first started my business, I knew that I wanted to do leak detection, because I've been told the leak detection companies around here will steal your customers, and you don't know if they're right or not. Now, some of them are really good. I'm not saying anything bad about them. But me, I knew if I'm going to do this, this is something I want to do in-house. So I went out to Calabasas and went through training. I went down to Tampa, Florida, and went through training. I went back to Morongo Valley and went through training. And man, I think I've probably had more leak detection training done for me than a lot of people. But I knew that when we built our system, I wanted to build the best. So if you want to get trained on it, go to leak-pro.com, check out the training, see what we've got, or call 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. and at Talk to Randy. Guys, thank you for being here today. Happy Monday. I hope you had an amazing weekend. Love for y'all jumping in, comments, talking to us, and we'll be back again tomorrow.
Thanks. Hope to see you here tomorrow.
Have a great day, guys. Bye.